Welcome to another episode of the Manhood Podcast. I'm joined here today with Dion Soulfire. Nice to have you with me here, brother.
Nice to be with you, man.
And thank you for welcoming me into your home here in Bali, Indonesia. Bali, we're here at the moment in this beautiful tropical paradise. I'm going to drop in a quick intro of what Dion's about, and then we're going to hear from him as well, because this guy's lived a very remarkable story, and I'm getting to know him on a deeper level, but I met him first at a facilitation training for Ecstatic Dance, actually, and it was, yes, I was interested in going deeper into my own journey with my music, but it was also his energy and just what I knew and felt within him as a man that drew me in. So I'm excited to have these sorts of guys on the podcast and hear their remarkable stories, the stories that they've written for themselves that's so far out of the mainstream. But without further ado, today we are joined here by Dion Soulfire, a renowned ecstatic dance DJ, men's work and tantra facilitator, as well as transformational embodiment coach. As a new father, Dion brings a unique perspective on masculinity into his work. He's also the founder of an ecstatic DJ dance training in Bali here and leads transformational embodiment spaces that empower people all over the globe. In this conversation, we'll be diving into his journey, exploring the power of movement and music and how these elements can support men to step even deeper into their self-awareness and leadership. So thank you for being here, brother.
Yeah, man.
Awesome to have you here.
Yeah, good to see you again.
And where I'd love to start it, man, is just hearing some of your journey. Like, we get to see the person sitting in front of us here, and I know within our community here in Bali, like, you're quite well known, and I know you're also super humble, but I'm just going to say it as it is, quite well known, and as you walk through different spaces, people know and respect Dion. But I want to hear, like, how did we get here to everything you're doing here today? A beautiful child, a beautiful partner, living a very inspiring life.
Yeah.
Where did it all begin for you on your journey as a man?
Yeah, long winding story. I grew up in Melbourne, Australia. Sports was my world up until I was about 25. Sporting family. Tried to kind of push the boundaries and kind of reach sort of professional level in a few different ways there. Ended up becoming a sports teacher, was teaching high school students. But for me, like, music was just always something I was passionate about and something I weaved into everything I did. So even while I was teaching young athletes, I would have music playing, and I started to become aware of, like, what was gonna inspire more movement, what was gonna chill people out into relaxation. That moved into just being a bit tired of being in the system and the politics of schools and the meetings and everything. So I went traveling. I went as far, I still was interested in being active, but I went out of the competition phase, got into snowboarding, surfing, spent a couple of years in Canada, and music was always super important. So I got into drumming. I became a drummer. Played in a bunch of bands that toured around the world. Managed hotels, where actually was an amazing lifestyle, like right on the beach, but I couldn't play and share music. It had to be like hush hush. Landed into then, that was in Byron Bay, Australia, so landed into yoga, little pieces of spirituality and self-development. Traveled the world as a drummer with cacao ceremonies, kirtan and chanting circles, and then got to a point where I was doing music with a lot of different people, but I really wanted to express myself more. I grew up, like, really not into electronic music and the DJ scene, but then I discovered ecstatic dance as just an amazing place to connect with myself and be free and start to move my body in new ways. And I could see that ecstatic dance is a modality or just an experience where a DJ or facilitator can play whatever kind of music that they enjoy, they like, that touches them, and create a deeply transformational experience. So learned to DJ, moved to Bali, did pretty well at that. And then, a few different things along the way, but that resulted in teaching other people how to do that and share through DJing and music, share music that they love, and also just keep creating these transformational spaces for people to be free and connect with themselves and each other.
Beautiful, brother. I love this weaving journey that you've been through, and as I was looking through like your social medias as in preparation for this, I saw you dropping into different parts of the globe and just noticing how what a unique path you've walked. We were speaking earlier just about dropping in with the Rasta community over in Jamaica, and also within the Indian culture as well. Yeah. You might have to remind me of the name of the men that you were connecting with there.
Sure, yeah. Spent some time in Jamaica. I've always loved reggae music, but went a little deeper into that and really experienced again with music, how it can just connect cultures, and the sound waves and connection of music and movement and singing and dance. It doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter what language you speak. The music speaks deeper than language, in my experience, even more recently. From there went through the Himalayas of India, had the same experiences there. And was really able to feel and understand different types of music within the context, like to understand how culture breeds, how music is just an expression of different cultures and stuff as well. And we've got the amazing opportunity in this day and age with Spotify or whatever it is that we can tap into all these different cultures and see how it moves us in different ways.
Yeah, it's like this universal language. I feel music is that. It's even an expression of that here in Ubud, Bali, where you come together. There's people from Russia, England, Australians, the Balinese, and we're all coming together and having this beautiful connection and a level of intimacy as well, and seeing one another without any words. And we don't even need the same belief system or words to be able to connect. It's beyond that. It's like this essence of the person that we can receive. If we're open enough ourselves, we're not just frozen in our own body, and we're able to express, we can really have this backwards and forwards communication through bodies, which is profound. Like, that's the essence of what I feel what life's about, is really this beautiful connection.
Yeah, and that I think that can be through music anywhere, but particularly ecstatic dance, because one of the very few rules is no talking on the dance floor. And that allows us to have a deeper experience ourselves and not be like distracted with conversations, but we can also communicate with each other on the dance floor in different ways, which is pretty fun.
That's one that I'm always trying to adhere to, the no communicating. It's interesting how often, at least in my experience, I see it in myself, of wanting to fill space, maybe sometimes feeling uncomfortable, but that talking to fill space. But whereas sometimes in the silence and through, as coming back to the communication through the body, there's a level of connection there that the words, like just having that sort of surface level discussions, sometimes holds us back from having. It's like showing the other person maybe the way I want them to see me, and they show me the way they want them to see them, but we're missing the juice. So it's beautiful space.
I feel like that space can come through silence as well, whether it's, there's times in ecstatic dance where there is a bit of silence, or even like some of my best friends and brothers, like we can have these super engaging conversations, but we can also just like sit and chill for a couple of minutes. You don't have to like fill the space like with noise. We can chill and watch the ocean or sit by a campfire and still be like connected in sort of slightly different ways. And
beautiful, that level of connection between men. And I know for myself, like coming from a background of always needing something to offer men in order to feel like enough to come together with them, whether it was working on a car or for me, I felt like I needed to offer them something in order to bring them together. But this new style of like relating with guys, of just being able to be in the same presence, enjoy each other's company without needing to be for anything or like any purpose-driven action, but just for the enjoyment of being around brothers is obviously another whole way of living that I've learned to appreciate as well.
And that's when it becomes authentic as well, where you can just be, you can be yourself. You came over this morning. I didn't sleep much with my new baby last night, but I'm just like, Yeah, I mean, we've got that connection and relationship now, but I was just like, yeah, I'm tired, I'm half on the floor, but yeah, when you've got those authentic connections, especially between men, yeah, we don't have to be something or fill the space, yeah, it's just ourselves.
Yeah. There's something, as I landed in this morning, I was like, oh man, I'm a little bit tired. I've been doing a lot of traveling the last few days. And then Dion had sent me a message saying, I've had like 2 hours sleep, mate. And I'm like, okay. I think I don't even know what tired is. And this is like one of the things that we're going to speak about today is this fatherhood, like portal that you're in and that you're going through, and the expansion available in that, which is so powerful. I'd love to hear what your experience has been of that. So far, you know, before and you're amidst it at the moment, right? Still learning and growing.
Yeah, it's a wild journey. It's ever evolving. Yeah, for me, it's been an expansion of myself. In definitely more challenges, in a lack of sleep and busyness, and trying to run a business, have friends, have a fulfilling relationship, look after a baby, take care of myself, like work out and sleep and stuff. So there's those challenges, but then there's just the expansion of love, like the connection with my partner, with my daughter. It's just really a next level, which is just so inspiring in really like cutting out the noise and the things that don't matter, or the events and things I used to go to, or even, I've always been pretty particular about my friendship circle and who I spend time with, but I don't have a lot of time right now, so I really value the connections, and I also let go of the ones that don't serve me anymore. A higher level of that, and just being purposeful, like expanding through my tiredness, which I found actually it almost like it physically hurts my body sometimes, but I also find that I have a bit less of a barrier. I'm a little more open in just sharing how I feel, where I'm at, calling out things like quickly that aren't in alignment with someone, and the inspiration. Like I DJ a lot here. Cut it down a little bit with the baby, but it's still like 2 or 3 times a week. And I've had some beautiful experiences recently where I was tired. I was playing a gig. I didn't really feel like being there. And I noticed in my own body that I was like not having a great experience. I was a little bit closed, a little bit tired, and my daughter hasn't come to my gigs yet. We're waiting when she can handle the noise levels. She does have earmuffs. But I had these beautiful moments where I was like, okay, if my daughter was sitting here right now, is she seeing a man who's fully in his power, expressing himself authentically, and like really rocking it? And the very quick answer was like no, which just changed me into like, okay, she's sitting there. I'm just going to give my fullest and be myself and really express myself a bit more fully, and that actually just lit up the dance floors even more, and I had a great time too.
Powerful, brother. Yeah, I've thought about that quite often. With children, it's not like what we're saying to them, but what we're embodying, in the way our relationship with life, our relationship with the circumstances that we're going through, which they're learning from, and they're looking and seeing like, what is life, and how do I behave in certain situations? How do I behave around other men, around other women? And powerful that you're seeing that reflection within yourself and being like, how do I want her to see me? And
totally.
How do I want to experience myself?
Yeah, I've just got these big, open, wide eyes and consciousness, and they just take in everything. Even sometimes when I'm on my phone trying to figure out the logistics of life, and I'm sort of get busy and caught up into it, and then I look over and she's just like looking straight at me. I'm like, okay, let's come back to presence. Let's be who I want her to see.
Such interesting journey during like the 0 to 7, especially there's like this imprinting that happens that, at least from my understanding and the study I've done, is that the child nervous system ends up becoming very similar to ours. Like they take an imprint of us and the way that we operate and bringing it together. And so powerful to know this like ahead of time and to be aware of this. And I suppose such a powerful also opportunity as a conscious man or a man that wants to always do the best for himself and those around, of seeing the reflection of the child reflecting parts of ourselves as well. I'm just curious if there's anything that you've become aware of on the journey, like things you've learned or about yourself along the journey of your fatherhood so far.
Yeah. I mean, I always knew I wanted to be a father. And then a few months before we actually had a baby, I was like, holy shit, like, am I enough? Have I done enough self-work? Can I handle this? Am I being that like man who I want to be, and I want to be an example? I had a little bit of not a freak out, but like some concerns about that. But then I realized like my whole life had prepared me for that, whether that be my sports or my travel or the challenging self-development workshops that I did, just being in these spaces where you're uncomfortable and expanding yourself, and that can be through many different things. Really led me to, as it came through, like being more comfortable in myself. And it's been a journey of, I guess you mentioned there, like the nervous systems and co-regulation as well. So when she cries and I'm holding her, I found I've been I've done a lot of work, and I facilitate workshops where we're doing emotional release and expressing, and sort of our parenting style isn't to just like put a dummy straight away or shush, like to actually like hold that. But I've found a new level of like when I'm holding her, like, can I hold my like physical and like still being like soft and loving, but holding my physical and energetic structure even stronger and even more power, like really grounding my feet and my posture and like holding that. And what I've experienced is, and being okay that, you know, her emotions are part of life. It's a natural thing. She's learning and going like back and forth. And yes, my ears hurt because she's screaming, and I don't want her to like feel this pain. And I'm still checking all the different things, like, does she need to be fed? Does she need to be changed? But when I can drop deeper into my space holding for her, she can generally express herself for a few minutes and just understand that this is a safe space, to express, to be herself, and then she generally sort of calms down and soothes as well through that. And that's been a powerful experience to take that to another level.
My little bit of experience with this, just like looking after friends' kids. I was with one brother, we were running practices over in France, and I was looking after his little child for the day while he was on phone calls and stuff. And I noticed that I was getting like anxious, or there was a little bit of like irritability within me as I was holding the little boy Isaiah. And then noticing, as I was able to calm my nervous system down, how it actually created like a bubble for him to regulate off of, and almost energetic leadership informing him that it's safe, because I was allowing myself to feel safe in that moment. And interesting to feel that, like, it's nothing spoken, nothing maybe looking different on the outside, but yet there's this inner attunement that can allow and create safety for somebody around us, especially these little people where they're so open to receive everything, like they're tapping into all of the pieces, potentially even more than a grown adult is, because they're still at that innocent stage where they're not working within belief systems or filters, they're tapping into the full surroundings.
I think that ability comes from, for men, like doing these kinds of, whether it's ecstatic dance or men's rage, or being able to express yourself in these containers of men's work, and rage or cry, and like be able to move those emotions yourself and experience like what that actually feels like, and that it's okay. Gives us the ability to hold our babies or our wife or partner in that, which is really key.
Yeah, it's like if we're not comfortable with our own emotions, we're not going to be comfortable when our partner or our child's bringing up that emotion within us. It's the same thing whether we're alone or with them. And having this practice beforehand, and this is like part of the men's work and the Tantra spaces and the ecstatic dance is learning how to dance with this inner world, and how can I feel safe fundamentally and enjoy my body. That it doesn't just stay as well for that space that we're in, but it actually has tangible results in our life, in our business, with our partner. When we're making those big financial decisions, that we can stay focused and look really critically where we need to, rather than our emotions just leading us into fearful sort of outcomes or projecting like worst case scenarios.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that doesn't mean we're expressing our like emotions all the time. We're like up and down and hot and cold. But if we don't like share what's inside us, like in these spaces that are a bit safe, like whether that's by ourselves or in a gym or on a dance floor, that bubbles up, and you see it in business, you see it in relationships, where it's like, I'm keeping it cool, and then it explodes. Relationships suffer, business relationships suffer.
And at least from the background of and my understanding of the emotional world, and you know, you might have a different view on this, but that we attract in the same sort of energies that we're holding within our body. So if there's anger to be felt, I believe that I attract in situations to spark that anger, allow me to purge and release that, to ultimately come into my best version. But if I don't understand what's happening, and it's very easy to express that anger but not able to fully release it, and ending up being like a victim to, or feeling like a victim to our emotions, like there's something scary or something that have control over our life, and thus I suppose it comes to that tendency of wanting to suppress them. And like we hear so much within men's spaces and around masculinity of, you know, guys wanting to repress emotions, or that being something also spoken about, that what guys do. I'm curious with your journey with that, what you've like learnt along your way that helps you to continue to express, and like as you're going through this journey now with a little bub coming into the world, beautiful partner, but also we were speaking before about, you know, women, how they're going through these different changes within their body, and there's the roller coaster, and here you are in the middle of it all. You're still a man, like you've done beautiful work, but you're still a man. What are some of those go-tos for you that like allow you to stay in your center?
I'll just tap into something you said at the start of that, which is we can have a tendency like attracting like what we kind of need and what's like reflected in us. And I know early in my life there was a tendency of like, all right, what's happening, especially like relationship wise, like this is pretty like crazy right now, and this is you, not me, so I'm gonna run away from that. And understanding that like emotions flow like every day, but there's also like build-ups from our experience from childhood, from our parents, from our trauma, from a lifetime of what's been happening, and that gets stored somatically in the body. And my belief is that whatever you want to call it, the universe or God or whatever it is, brings us those experiences to feel the things that we suppressed, whether that was, you know, as a child, like saying something or crying or being angry, and these experiences come in, and I take them as an invitation to find spaces, not necessarily like arguing or like raging like with your partner or your friends, but finding spaces to release these things. I'm sure we can all relate. You've had relationships and things like that where the same thing happens 2 or 3 times in a row, and then it's like, hang on, maybe I'm attracting this, maybe this is something for me to look at. And then once those things become like conscious and we can express them and release them, then that just opens us up for the next level of experiences, and to be more on purpose, and to be lead a more expansive life. The practices for myself, I don't get a lot of spare time right now, but the little things around the house that I do, I've just this week I've started integrating just a little bit of breath work. I used to go and do like full 2 hours transformational sessions. I don't have that time right now, so I try and weave 5 minutes 2 or 3 times a day. I love just like jumping into water and jumping into the pool and just cleansing off. And then it's also grounding, as I said, with my daughter, like when I'm holding her, when there's chaos in the room, if I can take a deep breath, I remember to feel my feet on the floor and just kind of hold that energy. I find that really helps. And for my own self, like I live here in Ubud, which is quite a spiritual community. There's a lot of yoga, there's a lot of dance. I've found for myself like finding a little more range and spectrum, getting into boxing, Muay Thai, sparring is a way that I can release energy. And that doesn't necessarily mean like aggressive, like it's full power, but a different take on it. Like we're gonna have a boxing session for my birthday in a couple of days, but it's not about like, yes, like competition expands us and levels it up, but we're not doing it to just like beat each other up or through our egos. We're doing it to connect and raise our level a little higher.
Beautiful. And I love that you've taken the conversation in this direction, like because we've got these maybe more well-known practices like your breath work and like meditation, and ecstatic dance is becoming a little bit more well-known.
Yeah.
And yeah, what we're both exploring in, and we've had conversations outside of this as well, as like spaces like fighting and other areas of life that maybe seem unrelated but can be a training ground for us as a man. And that it doesn't have to be restricted to a bubble of like what the healing world looks like or personal development world looks like, that we can bring these tools and structures into our life in other areas and turn just like something that we might be doing like exercise, like fighting, into a place for our transformation simultaneously, which is of course of benefit when we're working with less time, you know, as a father or running a business, and you've only so many hours in the day, so 2-3 hour breathwork practices on top of other things isn't always available.
I think as long as you're like finding, especially with the sparring or fighting, if you're finding brothers that are aligned with you, I don't meditate right now. I don't have the time for it, but I'm finding like the amount of like presence and clarity I can find in like a 1 minute sparring session is very, very high level. So doing different things like that. And I guess going back to my profession at the moment, which is DJing, I use that to express myself and come to myself. So when I'm playing, my philosophy with music and DJing is I'm playing music that I love and that means something for me. Often that might be older nostalgic music along the years. That might be something I've found this week, whether it was a piece of music that calmed me down at the end of the day, or something that inspired my energy to wake up a bit in the morning or during my workout. And I love to not only like listen and use music to support my life, but then in what I do, I've got the opportunity to express that and share that and be seen and heard and felt in that, which is it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, beautiful that in your giving, it's also like medicine for you by the sounds of it.
Definitely is.
I'd love to for you to walk us through like the journey of an ecstatic dance, and I know it's you could probably speak better into this, but if I'm a good student, I'll remember this. I did my study with.
You were a good student. You were a good student.
Like a year ago.
Yeah, I was on your dance floor. That's good.
But it was 5 rhythms dance, wasn't it? That it's based.
It's been one of the inspirations. I mean, ecstatic dance, it's an open format, and it's going in sort of different directions around the world. It's now in like every city, even like small towns and stuff, and there's no specific rules for the DJ. For the dance floor, all the rules are no shoes, no talking, no drugs and alcohol, and no phones, no filming and stuff, which allows a container for people to feel free and be able to dance and express and be present. Like a powerful ecstatic dance journey for me is something that, is a journey So when I'm putting together a set list and you know, an hour and a half or 2 hours of music, I'll start with more like gentler opening music where people can come in. It's fairly accessible and safe. People kind of stretch and connect and just start to warm up their bodies slowly. The music's a little, the beats per minute aren't quite as fast. And then the way I like to do it is then like gradually build up the intensity of the music. One of the amazing parts of ecstatic dance is those ecstatic moments where, you know, we can't really get content of it because there's no phones. But those ecstatic moments where you've got 100 people or 200 people, like hands in the air, covered in sweat, screaming, like all connected, like they're the magic moments that we remember forever, and are super healing and super fun and joyful. But for me, in understanding music and how nervous systems works, you know, we can walk into a dance and after 10 minutes, I can drop one of those tracks that are going to get the room going. But then it's like, where do we go after that? So it's about gradually building energy through the journey, creating a little bit of tease, a little bit of space for breath, different types of rhythms to move the body in different ways, different types of music that touches emotions in different ways. You know, there's no rules. It doesn't. Generally, I do Sunday mornings, which is a little more happy and festive, but there's also space to play. You know, I've played Rage Against the Machine at Ecstatic Dance and had had yoga barns. Yeah, it was quite a moment. We can play deep melancholy music and just creating a journey that has a start and a finish, and it's nourishing and yeah. But one of the things I love about it is there are no rules. So as a DJ, you can express yourself and play the music that you want to play.
Yeah, such a unique space in terms of, like, as you're speaking there, of the highs, but also sometimes the melancholy music that takes us sometimes into those deeper emotions. I was just thinking how rare it is in society to have a place where we can express all of these things amongst hundreds of people, and it'd be a safe place where this is okay, and also to have the accompaniment of the music to not only get us into those emotions but carry us through, because it's one thing accessing it, but then also there's a need to integrate and to move through and to healthfully work with those energies. And of course, like the ecstatic dance floor is like a place of almost like learning to work with emotion. Like each time we're taken through that journey, it gives us access to these different parts, and like, ooh, how I haven't felt that in my body before. How do I regulate this? Or like, whoa, maybe I'm a little bit shy to celebrate so much. I know that's been part of my journey.
Yeah, I went through that too when I first started dancing, or anyone who's coming for the first time. It can be like, wow, I haven't got a beer in my hand. I don't know if I can do this. And then it can be like, wow, there's some weirdos in the room, like getting rolling all over the floor. Just getting like super crazy. It can be a little like confronting in the beginning, but yeah, if the space is well held and you can start to breathe and move and open up, it's just a space of freedom for the community, which is really, really needed. And there's an element of ceremony in there as well, which I think in modern sort of Western society we've kind of lost a little bit of that weekly or monthly ritual of ceremony where we can connect as a group, where we can be ourselves, where we can move through whatever we need to be through, whether that be going through some tough times. I have people at the end of ecstatic dance who they've been grieving a grandparent or a relationship breakup, and they have space to. I've done it. I've had the music triggers me, and I've cried for 5 or 10 minutes, and being able to move that and come out of it, as well as just joyful experiences to connect with the community and be ourselves, be free.
Yeah, I love that. And just like for the listeners hearing this as well, like our ability to go into these emotions and like coming through with crying and these expressions, it's a release. It actually gives us freedom back over our internal world. Depending on what backgrounds we have, we might attach all sorts of different meanings to what emotions are and what crying means. But ultimately when we come into these therapeutic places like this, us crying for that 5 minutes can literally lift something that we might hold heavy on our body for a decade afterwards, which then impacts the way that we're feeling each day or impacts the way that we treat ourselves and other people. So these moments that are created, although it might seem a little bit unusual to some, like hearing this world of like crying and ecstatic and grief, and it's not about what we're doing in this space, but what we get afterwards as well. Yes, it's enjoyable being in there once you know the game, but also the freedom, the liberation, the ability to, like, who am I beyond the emotion that is holding me back, or my beliefs also, that the beliefs are attached to our emotions as well often, and when we break through the emotions, our belief systems start to crumble too, which opens our mind to larger things that are available for us in life. So yeah, just to give like even more depth and context to this conversation of yes, it's fun dancing, but it's very purposeful, and like we can use it as a powerful tool in our journey as a man if we're wanting to experience our greatness and wanting to bless those around us to become the best version of ourselves through these powerful practices.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well said. I got some goosebumps. Chills when you said that. Yeah, you know, society, especially as men, tells us, you know, men don't cry. That's going to be soft, and but you know, we've all had challenging experiences in our life. We've all had pain, and just even if it's just these moments of 1 minute, 5 minutes, whatever it is, a space to release that. The benefits of it in expanding actually like into our power and into the men that we're meant to be. It gives us the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. You've got to this stage of running these powerful ecstatic dances, you're sharing this music and allowing people to experience themselves through music, through movement, and I know through our conversations also the journey is continuing to open up to you of like what you would like to continue to share with the world. And I'm curious to hear it while it's in motion, because so often we're hearing people once they're finished and they're like at the destination and they share backwards, but like what's exciting you for the next stage of your journey, and what you're seeing that you're bringing through.
For sure, many things. For me, my brand Soulfire is what I see really expanding worldwide, and that is a space Soulfire developed because I have this vision of there's like a little candle in our heart or just below it, and when we get caught up with life, you know, we get into our head, we have all this stress and worry, business, family and stuff, and that gets quite dim. It's just like a little flicker. So for me, it's creating spaces worldwide where we can stoke that fire. And in my experience, that happens when we have music, dance, self-expression, and we can light it up again. We can clear out the mind. And in that space, that's when the things that really matter start to come through. The thing that's the like pieces of personal purpose and what we're supposed to be here to do in the world start to come through, and the rest starts to fall away. I'll always continue drumming and DJing and doing ecstatic dance and teaching people how to DJ. I'm expanding that into retreats and workshops. So that's coming through, particularly this year, and collaborating with my partner with that as well.
Beautiful, brother. And from knowing these guys and seeing your relationship, I can already feel the magic that's created and is going to like bloom in these spaces. And I know you've got something coming up in Spain even, which is super exciting, like super passionate culture and people to work with. So curious to see that come to life and what's birthed through in that space.
Yeah, for sure. Spain this year. I'm running a DJ retreat out there and another retreat called Soulfire, which is going to be dance, embodiment, breath work, all the things just to light it up and light each other up and just live a more expressive, meaningful, purposeful and fulfilling life.
That flame that you were speaking about as well, like connecting into what our purpose is, our passion is as an individual. These spaces to be able to go away to get out of the normal run of our life and to put like a bit of a break state in there, to throw the mind on a little bit of a twist, to get out of the normal patterns of what we're doing around the house, you know, because our normal environments, they hold down also our internal neural pathways when we're doing the same things day in, day out. To have a space from that can save us so much time and energy, even though it seems like we're moving away and, you know, like we're needing to invest maybe a week into this. But yeah, by us giving access to like, what am I here for? What really lights me up? And exploring a little bit of our past, a little bit of like, what am I excited about for the future, and landing in that zone. Suddenly, out of the thousands of options that there are in life, it becomes super clear of like, fuck, that's that thing for me, or at least for this next chapter. And suddenly, I would say in some ways life becomes easier, in some ways it becomes more challenging because we need to let go of what's not in alignment with that. But then there's also a simplicity that comes in, because if it's not in alignment with that vision that we're seeing of ourselves, of that thing that we know is truly for us, that's inspiring us and exciting us, and maybe one of the most important things, that it makes us feel like alive and fulfilled in the pursuit of it. Suddenly it brings a simplicity to life of like, out of all the things, out of all the people we could have around, all the different experiences we could have, these are the few for me. And it's freedom in a way, in a way.
Yeah, and that flame, that fire, that gives us so much energy. Even particularly me as a parent, like I'm tired in the morning when I get up, but having that inspiration and knowing that I'm doing something that's on my path, it's on purpose, it's doing something to change the world, even if it's a tiny way. That's what keeps us awake. That's what gives us the energy to be like, whether it's going out to do an event, whether it's a business idea, and just zoning in on the laptop and getting it done. I think that's the key.
I feel like such a powerful gift that we share as men with the world, as well as when we follow like our mission. When I follow my mission, it shows other people pathways. It gives inspiration to those around us. And there's one saying that women show the child how to love, and a man shows a child how to share that love with the world. And of course, there's all sorts of spectrums within that, and that's not the hard and fast rule. But this thing of going out and breaking into new, breaking through boundaries, breaking into new worlds, such a powerful thing that, you know, compared to the old model of the world of men, you know, we need to provide, stay at home, make sure the partner's safe, work the job that's going to create safety, doesn't necessarily account for this other whole side of showing the people around us how to live expansively, how to live not from fear but from passion, from aliveness, of not just doing what's safe all the time, but also doing what is exciting and what makes us feel most alive. And that the value also in that, and like the permission piece in that for men of, when we do live our best life, when we do go for those things that make us excited, within balancing and keeping everybody into consideration, of course, then we provide and we bring so much from the world back in to bless the family, and richness and aliveness in the family unit, and excitement, and just new flavors and colors that aren't accessible maybe within the life if we were to keep going down the same track. Being in that,
well said, being in that purpose and fire also, like, I mean, it also makes us far more attractive to either our potential partner or our current partner. Yes, for sure, like having money and having a house and having all the dots like lined up, that brings, you know, safety for the feminine, for women as well. But for a really healthy, like thriving long-term relationship, like a man who has got energy to be doing what they're on purpose to do, is passionate about it, is living to his potential, is an amazing experience for us as men, and also brings in everything around us as well to be that example.
And it's curious, and this is just like my observations and some of, I suppose, realizations I've come to in my life. I'm curious to your take on it as well, but I feel like in the past, and I see this in other men as well, being involved in men's work for a while, of the feminine is framed up to men as almost like something that we need in our life to tap into life. Like women are the access point to life, and without women, like they're the source of where all the joy and aliveness comes from. in this model of the world where we do the thing, we're the stoic man, and there's almost like this need relationship with women, at least in my model. And when there's a passionate lived life by a man, he's having these passionate experiences, he's following that, I feel the relationship with women becomes more healthy, and there's like a less of a neediness of that energy from them, although they're a beautiful fountain of that anyway in their nature, and it's something that we can tap into, but less of a need for that, and thus a healthier relationship, because we're tapping into that aliveness. And I suppose one way of speaking to that as well would be like sexual energy. We're feeling that sexual energy through our own body. We're turned on by our life. We're turned on by what we're doing. We're excited, which isn't always like sexuality, but it's a sexual energy, life force energy in our body. And almost I've taken that as a responsibility as a man, seeing that and seeing the dependency on small levels with women, and feeling like I needed something from them, and going, oh shit, where do I find this within myself so I can be the most clean, integrated, and ultimately it doesn't feel good to, at least for me, to be dependent on somebody else anyway. Like if they're not there, I can't get it. Like so to come into this self-sourcing form of energy, and just I thought I'd just open that into the space, because it's like a deep topic, but also a curious one.
I think being in our own fire and self-sourcing and being a bit more conscious and aware that women are freaking amazing. We love them, and they add like so much to our life. But in, I guess, like stoking our own fire first and being the best that we can be, like individually, that also like becomes magnetic, and we don't have to, in my experience, when I'm like really like in myself and just self-sourcing my energy, rather than sort of reaching out or hunting for something, which is also, it's a natural experience, but when I'm just like, I'm just in myself, I'm healthy, I'm looking after myself, I'm getting my sleep, I'm on my purpose with my business, the natural magnetism and attraction comes in far more effortlessly, and it can be much more deeper and fulfilling, a much more deeper and fulfilling meeting. Whether that's in conversation or intimacy or whatever piece of it.
And I feel it gives like this opportunity, rather than needing women, that we can choose relationships. It's like it's a different energetic behind it. It's like choosing to spend our time and to be in that dance, rather than like a neediness or like a drawn, which I think shows up in that energy as well, of like when we are centered within ourselves, and we are feeling our own energy tank, that is super magnetic. Like people feel that that's the energy of life that people are feeling in us, and they don't always know what it is, but it's that person who walks into the room, and a lot of people look, and it may not be the most physically, socially subscribed, attractive person, but yet there's something that they're embodying, what they're being within themselves. It's just like, it's drawing in attention, but the right sort of attention.
And I think that in my own experience and what I've seen, that can look like different things for men as well. I think a really healthy practice, at least at some point in every man's life, is to be single and not connecting with women, even if it's for a short period of time, even if it's for like a month. I've seen men do it for 6 months or a year. What was really beneficial for me, particularly after my last relationship, is I had a specific amount of time and processing to do, and I'm like, I'm not going to connect with anyone right now. I'd been gone from serial relationships, end one and then something else comes, and the same patterns and things happen with that as well. Just having those experiences where you know what it's like just to be by yourself, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you're super horny and just like and even if the options are right there, like in front of you, just going, no, just from this little bit of time, like one month out of my life, I'm just gonna be with myself.
Yeah.
That can be really life changing. I've seen the other side of thing in men too. I guess the pendulum from that, I've seen men who are like, all right, I want a family and a relationship, but I'm just gonna fully focus on like get my business like ready and make sure I've got whether that takes 3 years or 5 years, and I'm just gonna like focus, and I've got no time for this, and I'm gonna build this so that a woman comes later. I've seen it work, and I've seen it also I've also seen men really like isolated with that, thinking that a woman's energy is gonna take me off my purpose and take too much time in, to reach my business goals and do that. But I think, there can be balance in like the right relationship, and connection can be so supportive of whatever your goals are. Like the relationship I have at the moment is so incredibly inspiring to keep stepping out there and doing what I'm doing and creating the things that I'm doing. So it's a dance.
Yeah, absolutely. There's full spectrums of that, and it speaks to the importance of like that connection with ourselves, and like all of our journeys being so different. So I was speaking this with a brother the other day of like, the power of reading books and learning from other people's experience, but there's nothing like our own lived embodied experience. And when we have these drop-ins of like a path that feels right for us to step into, and it might be something like you spoke to, of not having a partner around, or even interacting with a woman. I've had clients do this before as well for that exact reason, to find themselves. But by listening to that voice and following through, like life has a unique journey for us, and it's not cookie cutter. There's not like one way to becoming the most empowered like masculine man, or whatever that's maybe social media sometimes shows us, or marketing shows us. But at least my experience of the journey is me being taken on all these different unusual paths of like not always knowing like why I'm going there, but it's a gnosis within my body of like that's something I need to explore, at least to open to what it is. And it leads on a very interesting looping path that goes in many different directions, but also saves maybe getting caught up in that cookie cutter idea, whether it is, we talked about those two extremes there, and even some of the guys getting sort of caught in this idea of I'm going to build everything for the woman first, and it's beautiful in theory, and then if it's not our path, there can be decades lost of growth that could come through in much easier ways, where we can also have the beautiful lover, just like throwing out the rule books, and how do we find it?
I liked what you said, that like there's a balance of like being open to the detours. Like it's really valuable to have our goals and our stages and our visions of what we want to achieve and how we do it. And if life was like that, it might even be somewhat easier. But what I've experienced is like, being open to those detours and experiences and opportunities that pop up can lead to so much more growth. Like I had it when I was younger, like I had, achieved the jobs and the money that I wanted to achieve and was set on this plan. And then I took some detours. At one point I crashed my van in Australia. The insurance on it had run out a couple of days before. I was just like too busy and caught up. There was a big debt coming through, and I was like, okay, the logical thing to do would be to like get another job, repay for this, like rebuild, and that was one option. Another one was I had an opportunity to do a yoga teacher training in Bali. I was, still getting into more drumming, and had a few like offers to do some touring and stuff, and I was like, there was just this inner calling. I was like, what, let's take this detour, let's do another lap around the world and see what happens. I can always come back, I can always get a job and rebuild, but it's time for a little detour, something different. That led me through Bali, that led me around the world into different cultures. It led me into Tantra and having experiences, led me into men's work, becoming a DJ. Here I am beautiful house, beautiful family,
Yeah.
and I'm really grateful for that detour as
Mm,
well.
mm. All from at least that first decision, of course, many decisions afterwards, but listening to those whispers, and it takes courage, hey, when like society's around
Definitely
us, and you know there's all the proper things and how told we should be as men, and like responsibility and what success means, and the willingness to follow sometimes the feeling, or however I'm not sure how it comes through for you, but at least within me it's a feeling to follow that amidst all of this.
Yeah, and I mean, your family and community might not be supportive of your decisions. I was like, I had one parent who was very supportive, one that was very not supportive. But had just this inner feeling that I got to keep going. I got to keep doing what I love, even though on paper the money wasn't there. It didn't seem like the logical society path. But and that takes that courage and that trust that actually by doing what you really feel called to do, you're gonna meet your community, the people around you who value the same things, whether it's music or certain type of business, or in a different place somewhere else in the world. Like, you're gonna meet them, especially if you are in your purpose, doing what you love. That's magnetic for everyone around you. So
reminds me of Gene Keys, and it speaks about like in the Pell sequence, which is all around money and business and mission. And it speaks about us like when we go on our own path and then we share with the world, it's like us sending out a ripple to attract in those people that are for us, like our tribe. And it's like through us sharing, like getting our lessons and then sharing it with the world, organically the right people for us are drawn in. And I think it's a real powerful wisdom in that of sometimes walking our path doesn't mean that everybody's going to come along with us, and it's not from a place of like that we don't love people or we don't care for them anymore, but it's a precious, beautiful life that we're living, and there's only so much space and there's only so much time, and not everybody is heading in the same directions. And there's that common saying that said like we're the average of the 5 people closest to us, and it's such a real experience. Like I know, depending on the different stages of my life and who I've been around, and also the information I've been reading, I only see certain segments of reality because of that, because of my environment, and coming from more of like a background of wanting to love and care for everybody, like more of a people pleaser background for myself. That's been one of the biggest journeys, is learning like to let go, and that it's okay for us to walk different directions, even if that means that we might not see that person again, or it might sometimes come back into when we meet each other on a deeper level. But for us having the courage to walk our own path, sometimes it also gives people openness to experience what they were meant to experience as well. And we come back even more like in love versions of ourselves, in love with our own life, and thus then we've got more to give and to share with the world. Yeah,
for sure, I resonate with that. Letting go of friendships or relationships, it's a scary thing, but we don't have to just like some things we need to cut, some things we don't need to kill forever. And generally, even in my experience with family or friends back home, things come back around. There's always space to space to reconnect. And I think it's important, like the people around you will also probably deeper down respect you more if you've had that courage. Like they might not like it at first that you're leaving to travel around the world or do some weird retreat in a third world country and leave your job and leave that, but like that's their stuff. In the end, if you're continuing to develop yourself and learn and have these experiences, in the end, that will be, if they're open to it, will be respected and can lead into something deeper anyway.
It's like a whole reformatting of the meaning of love, at least for me. And like love being maybe portrayed, or at least the way I've grown up, and hearing it about staying around, sticking around, helping people out, being the one to offer people something even at the expense of myself. But it's like when we follow this deeper down intuitive nature and this feeling, this fire, and we follow that mission, whatever makes us feel most alive, it's amazing how we end up blessing people's lives in such ways. And at least for me, this whole idea of what love is continues to mold and adapt away from that baseline model that I was taught more so from religious backgrounds, and opens up to like, wow, sometimes love is leaving, and that actually opens up into the person receiving more of themselves and more of life. And sometimes the love is staying, sometimes the love is being quiet, sometimes the love is being louder, and it's not one thing, but it's more so about how it feels in our body, and us following like our nature as part of being a part of life. You know, how do I show up in this ecosystem of life, and am I playing my unique role within that, or am I trying to fit into the mold of what I think I should be to be the good person, or to do it right.
For sure. Saying no to something or someone is also saying yes to yourself and loving yourself. How do you, like, what are some things that you do to, like, because it can be like hard to, like, okay, what is my purpose and how am I going to do this? Like, you know, getting all these ideas from Instagram of different ways that I could live and things that I could do, but I'm at home, like, with a job or a family, or like, what are some ways that you use to find that?
When I stepped out from my mainstream job, like into what I was doing, I knew for a long time that I wasn't in the right place, but I didn't even have the thought of like looking outside of that. I thought I just had to learn to deal with what was. So in my case, life ended up giving me a little bit of a boot until I could no longer actually perform in the life that I had built. And even though on paper it was the perfect life, like I had marriage, I had house paid, had worked my way up in a career, it was clear that that wasn't for me, and that I needed to start moving away from that. I think the biggest thing that I've worked with is just like a unrealistic belief that anything's possible. Like looking at and believing that everybody's capable of doing whatever they want as long as they put their time and energy into it. And I think me being out of vision like that, continuing to hold these visions, it's not one thing, but life opens little opportunities. And then with that vision and being willing to believe that I'm capable of it, just taking those small steps when it comes up for me, it's taking that small step, exploring, and then the next step becomes available. And I have visions that come and go. Some of them end up manifesting, others break down, and it's like, oh wow, that was a bit off. But yeah, it's not about the vision, it's about who we become on the journey, like who I become on the journey, because me following that vision created me into who I needed to be, so I could be that person in that moment to open to the next opportunity. So I suppose it's like being willing to play, because when I think of visioning, I'm like a little kid, like I'm like, how can I play in life? Like it's like a video game for me. I get to create my own adventure, and this is when I'm the most powerful, when I feel in that playfulness. So playing in that, but then also the non-attachment of like, I'm going to follow that fully, but also knowing that that may not come through, but trusting that that's the direction nonetheless. And it keeps reinforcing itself over a decade of doing this now, that it seems dangerous to do anything else but to follow that feeling, because when I don't follow the excitement and the inspiration, I have a tendency I can also get quite dark, because I feel like I'm here for really exciting things, and I can see those visions, and when I feel like I'm not showing up for them, that's not a good place to be for me. So this is actually the most safe, beautiful, expansive, and fulfilling way for me to be for myself, and also allow me to love others deeply. So bit of insight into my process around that.
I like what you said about like small steps as well. Like we did talk a bit more before about like the bigger, like moving across the world, and sometimes there's a time for that when it all when either the trip lines up or life just isn't lining up. Like we need to like break and do this, but I think it's it's valuable to take these little steps as well, if that's like trying out a new yoga class or breath work or an ecstatic dance for an hour or something. And we don't always, it doesn't always align to make the big change, but at least doing something to find that childlike playfulness and experience some new things.
And if anything, like, I'm probably a bit more conservative in that way as well. Like, I think of every job that I've transitioned through, it's always been dropping off 2 days and then adding 2 days on of the new job. So there's been big moves, but it's always been, at least in my case, it's been my journey of being quite measured in that way. So, and of course there's times to go and there's times to be all in, but it's not always that case. And it's nice to, I think, hear that in this world sometimes, where we hear stories of people like sell everything and they just go and live in Bali, or
I think that's me in the past. I think I've been like quite like, I mean, I love immersing, and that's the retreats that I do as well. I'm like, okay, like I just go and live in India for 3 months, and Jamaica, and just like do music is my life and just go like all in. There's something very valuable about that, in just living what you want to do. I'm also finding now that I do have actual like responsibilities of a family. As we spoke earlier, I'm moving into like the new ideas and things that I'm visioning, just starting to take smaller steps of time that I do have, and
different seasons and stages, right? So I think it's like just keeps reinforcing this point of like being on our own journey, and that may not look like the same as our best mate who's moving next to us, or what our partner's doing. And I think in like learning to listen to ourselves, and even though it's scary, like sometimes walking the opposite direction than other people, what it cultivates within us, like it's such a blessing for the world, and giving people permission to do the same fundamentally, to find themselves and like to really walk their own path. And like there's can be such a flat line, at least in my past, in the people that in the society that I used to know. But the people that I'm the most drawn to now are the people that like have their own weirdness switched on, where you know, like they're so out there, but in their own beautiful, unique way. And it just makes me realize each individual is so beautiful and unique, and has such a beautiful nature to share, and a unique being in themselves. And when given the permission, and when they take permission from life and go and explore that, like the richness that they can bring into our lives, and having those people around you where it's like, oh, where's Dion? Oh, he's over there, he's running ecstatic dance, and he's being a father at the same time, he's working on new business ideas, and he's making it happen, and having fights for his birthday. It's just like, it keeps opening our mind, having these people around to like, we don't have to live in any one way, but we get to create it. And having those constant reminders of us being that person, and also people around us being that for us, which of course we draw in when we do that for ourselves first. It's like, whoa, that's it's exciting.
I love weird people. I didn't always. I used to get triggered by them, and I was like, hit that. And I mean, just judge them, and like, that's not normal. Like, or even like, ecstatic dance is a good place for weirdness. Everyone comes, just be their full weirdo self, and that used to challenge me. I was like, oh, that's not normal, that's not cool. But now I've sort of learned to be like, wow, that's pretty amazing that person is so free to just do whatever the fuck they want, and make sounds and movements, or live whatever life they want. If I'm upset by that, that's probably actually on me. Like, am I really being... unless they're, as long as they're not hurting anyone or doing anything, if they're just being themselves and they're fucking weird, like, that's on me if I don't like that. So now I'm kind of drawn into, there's, lots of characters in this community and around the world, and I, love spending a bit more time with the weirdos. Maybe I'm one of them, I don't know.
I think we all are in one way.
Maybe I've become one now, okay.
Love it, brother. Well, it's been an epic conversation dropping in, man. There's so many ways we can take this, but I feel just save it for the next edition. And as we come into this closing, man, I'd just love to hear what you've got coming up, and where people can connect with you further to explore more of your world, and if they're interested in ecstatic dance or these embodiment retreats to up-level their experience of life and that fire within.
For sure. I mean, I'm always going to be sharing music, DJing, drumming, ecstatic dance around the world. At the moment it's here in Bali. Instagram page is Dion.Soulfire. I've got a SoundCloud page as well that's got my DJ sets up there if you want to have a listen or just a little dance around at home and see how it feels. I run DJ trainings here in Bali. I do one-on-one classes for people who want to learn the skills to express yourself through music and hold these spaces. Europe in September, another DJ training and the Soulfire retreat to just come and be yourself and just light that fire.
Beautiful, brother. And all these links will pop in the comments below so you can click through and see them. I'll even put your latest DJ set as well because it went off here at Yoga Barn. People were like,
I saw you at the back covered in sweat.
So yeah, to give you a taste of this world. And yeah, if you're looking at delving into like the DJ journey or this embodiment journey, there's lots of people doing this work, but Dion's got a really special energy. He's got this background within the Tantra world, which is a beautiful open space of exploring all parts of self. So it's not just like, it ends up not just being a DJ journey into music, but also like this deeply held container where you explore and discover yourself in completely new ways, like an opportunity to take on a new identity, which is what I had, I think. Within 3 months, it was like 5 sets of being a DJ. It's like overnight. Of course, with a lot of self-work and choosing to show up, but became like a DJ and got to enjoy and experience that, and it's something that I continue to carry on. So I highly recommend reaching out if you're looking for that. And
I mean, that's where we connected as well, the first point.
Absolutely.
We didn't know each other, we had a quick call, we came along, and went into the music. And
it's the exact thing of like when you follow what feels right for you, you meet the right people, right? And it's sometimes about what you think it is, and sometimes plus some as well. So, man. Well, awesome, thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you for having us over. And thank you for joining us, guys. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Manhood Podcast.